How does frame rate impact video proxy workflows? Imagine editing a video project that has footage shot at different speeds and resolutions. It can get tricky and slow down your workflow. Today, we're going to explore how frame rate influences the way proxies work in Adobe video and motion software, and how it affects your overall video production process. Frame rate is simply the number of individual images or frames shown each second in a video. Common frame rates include 24, 25, 30, 60, and 120 frames per second. When you import footage with a frame rate different from your project, Adobe Premiere Pro can interpret or change how it plays back that footage. This is useful when working with slow motion or fast motion effects. Proxies are smaller, lower-resolution versions of your original video files. They make editing smoother, especially when working with high-resolution or high-frame-rate footage. When you create proxies, Premiere Pro links them to your original files so you can switch back and forth easily. This saves your computer from processing heavy files during editing. Frame rate plays a big role here. If you import a high frame rate clip, like one shot at 120 frames per second, and interpret it as 24 frames per second for a slow motion effect, the proxy needs to match that interpreted frame rate. If it doesn't, the proxy might keep the original frame rate, causing timing mismatches when you switch between the proxy and the full quality footage. This can make your editing less reliable because the proxy and original footage won't sync perfectly. In recent updates, Adobe Premiere Pro has improved this. Now, when you interpret footage to change its frame rate, the proxy will be created using that new frame rate. So if you interpret a 120 frames per second clip as 24 frames per second, the proxy will also be at 24 frames per second. This keeps the proxy and original footage in sync when toggling between them, making your workflow more dependable. However, there are some limitations. Changing the frame rate with interpret footage can cause audio sync issues if you need the sound. For slow motion clips, it's better to adjust the speed or use time remapping instead of interpreting the footage. Also, if you want to use proxies for slow motion, it's best to slow down the original clip before creating the proxy. This way, the proxy matches the playback speed of the original, and you won't need to make new proxies after every speed change. Understanding how frame rate impacts proxy workflows helps you avoid syncing issues and keeps your editing process smooth. When working with mixed or high frame rate footage, always interpret your clips correctly and create proxies at the right frame rate. This way, switching between proxies and full resolution files becomes seamless, saving you time and frustration. By paying attention to these details, you can set up a more efficient and reliable workflow for your video projects.